Hello, Marky Dragon, also known as Marcus Eikenberry in real life, and we're going to talk about Eve and code enforcement today. I've got Commander A9 with me. He is the owner of Hauler's Hub. Hello, Commander.
Hello, sir.
So, the you, sir, are a hauler, correct?
Yes, sir.
And recently, something happened which really dramatically affected the haulers. There was a location where haulers congregated in Eve, where it was. Well, can you explain what happened to that channel? What happened in there?
Essentially, what happened was the primary channel, which is used by the group of third party and international haulers known as the Haulers Channel, which was started up by Rita Jita, was hijacked in the course of a mod selling off her character to an operative who happened to be associated with Code. Said operative then revoked all of the mod rights for every standing mod in the channel and then defaced the channel with Code advertisements, minor bumping advertisements, and the law of HiSec. This forced us to switch over to our own channel, which we now fully operate and control.
Hmm. And that, for anyone who's interested, there will be information in the description about how to find their channel. So, what is it? What is it? What is it that was so offensive about how the code guys do business that required making a new channel?
We've found that Code appears to be a mining and hauling extortion racket. Essentially, what they do is they demand that haulers and miners buy permits from them for a set amount of ISK or face bumping attacks, griefing attacks, gank attacks on gates while mining or while transporting goods across solar systems. We also found that particularly offensive because the owner of the channel, Rita Jita, no longer plays Eve. Furthermore, the top mod was in the hospital at the time, and it sounded like, from what I was able to learn, that we got betrayed by one of our own. So all of this happened right under our noses and behind our backs.
Hmm. Hmm. And now, when you say face getting attacked, does that mean that there's losses that happen?
Oh, absolutely. Started back in, I think, November 2011 when Goon Swarm and other major alliances were making use of the new Tier 3 battle cruisers and were hitting freighters hard. Uedama and Niarj were both turned into overnight kill zones. Freighters in the hundreds were lost over several weeks, several months, and it's forced us to remain vigilant as we travel.
Hmm. Now, what is it? I understand that code is trying to enforce this law or doctrination of really trying to make Eve a better place for commerce. And what they assert is that they do these they take these actions to stop people who are doing a couple of things. One is that any actions in the game which are something that can be done while AFK. One of the illegal things is botting, which of course is not okay, and that's a violation of the end user license agreement. But they also will seek to discourage people doing things such as autopilot. And autopilot is a normal function of the game. So, how do well, their premise is that if people are actively working to make money in the game or doing commerce, that the economy in game will be a better place for everyone. And so, by their trying to keep people from making money while not being present at the keyboard, their assertion is that it's an improvement to the game. How do you feel about that?
I do agree that botting is a problem. I do agree that botting and using third party software programs to execute commands, which otherwise would require a human operator to execute, is illegal, and there
Mm-hmm.
should be more disciplinary action when it comes to that. But I cannot agree with the premise of taking out somebody just because he happens to be up away from his system because he's going to get lunch while his strip miners are still going. And I
Mm-hmm.
certainly don't agree with the idea of being forced to hand over permits or money for permits to people who think that they control the transport lanes and they control the asteroid belts. Last I checked, those are controlled by the four major empires.
Mm-hmm. And none of the empires are charging any tax like that.
Absolutely not.
So now it's code requires. Well, actually, they say they don't require a permit. And so have you yourself? Well, let me just first off start by asking: have in your freighter in doing your trips, have you ever been harassed or contacted by any members of code?
Not by a member of Code. The only significant loss I took to my freighter was by, well, the pilot shall be unnamed, but it was a loss back in Valentine's Day. I was in a rush, I got bumped off alignment, and then I was attacked by a fleet with some serious firepower that broke the Providence in half. Beyond that, the only time I've ever had any interactions with Code was when I spotted them in a system I was mining in, and remembering their law of high sec and their bumping and permit techniques, I relocated because I simply was not in the mood to put up with that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So now, have you found it necessary to purchase one of these permits?
Absolutely not. It's an extortion racket to a T.
Do you feel like that your ship is more at risk by not having a permit?
Not at all. I mean, you're at risk every time you undock from a station.
How about do you feel like there's any benefits to having one of these permits?
I have heard of some pilots claiming that they were spared from harassment by Code since they had the permit. I've also heard of pilots saying that they were specifically targeted by Code operatives because they had a permit.
Interesting.
So I
Okay.
would say that there really is no real benefit to possessing the permit. Long short of it is that Code gets money, hands down,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the
Mm-hmm.
only benefit to it.
So, okay, okay. Now, tell me, I guess, what is your, code's been around for a while, and do you feel that they're getting more aggressive in their enforcement, or that they're getting more lenient, or how's it changed over time?
I think they're adapting, much like all other pilots are forced to do so whenever there are changes made to this great universe. They're changing up their tactics or they're expanding their operations. But long short of it, all we have to do is just remain vigilant. Refuse to pay permits, refuse to pay ransoms, just like we have since day one.
Mm-hmm. Are there any sectors or areas that seem to be a big problem?
There are two systems that come to mind immediately. That is Uidama in the Citadel along the Galenti and Caldari trade route, and Niarja, which is the entry system into a Mars space from Caldari space. Both of these systems are 05s, and there is no other way around these systems, really, without going through them, that pilots are forced to pass through. So those two systems are always turned into bottlenecks. You always look on the kill mails, kill boards, and you see that this freighter's been lost and this industrial's been lost, and the commonality is that it's either in Uidama or Niarja, because it's 05, Concord response times are very low, and they've been turned into kill zones since the Tier 3 battlecruisers have come out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. So let's switch gears here just a little bit. Let me ask you a little bit more about the career of hauling. Is Did you get into hauling yourself because you were trying to make money, or because you were making product and you needed to move it, or what got you into hauling?
Oh, wow. That's really reaching back into my history, to tell you that much. First time I really started getting interested in hauling was when I was in my first major alliance, long, long time ago. I bought a Charin so that I could facilitate transporting ore and minerals all the way down from Denera in a Mars base up to Jeddah, the main trade hub for all the game. And then I started doing private contracts for some friends, for colleagues, for associates of the Corps, And then I ran into an operative named Whitehound who said there's a gentleman named Rita Jita who's starting up this haulers channel. And I know you've hauled for me in the past, so I want to know if you want to be a part of it. So I said yes. And I realized that Rita Jita was starting up a channel full of independent haulers, haulers assigned to corporations. Just wanted to create a channel where any transport pilot, any contractor, any major corporation, and the like could gather to offer contracts to prospective pilots, for reward, to get stuff moved, essentially be the truckers of Eve.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started doing contracts, and suddenly I got more daring, I got more brave, and my hauling career took off. I started running contracts that other people refused to touch. 30 jumps for 10 million, or I'd put down my entire wallet as collateral and just run these contracts all day and all night. I made insane money. And within a couple of weeks, I became a moderator for the channel because Rita Jita was so impressed with my service and trusted me that much. And it went from there.
Can you still make insane amounts of money these days?
Oh, absolutely.
Interesting.
If you come up with a good system, the way I did it, I'd visit a region, and I would grab all the major contracts for the region that I could fit. And along the way, if I happened to find a contract that I had space for, 2 million, 5 million, 7 million ISK, I'd just stuff it in the back and keep on going. The idea is go to a region, grab all the contracts in the region that are going to the same place, like Amar, or Jita, or Renz, or Heck, and then just fly out there, deliver all at once. Boom, profit.
Do you do you fly normally in high sec, or do you do any low sec or null sec?
I will not go to low sec with my Orca or my freighter. It's simply too much risk. So I only do high sec to high sec jobs.
Okay. And what would you say are some of the main things that someone who's maybe newer to hauling should pay attention to as they get in and try and make a living doing this?
Well, obviously, you should pay attention to how big the contract is, how much cargo it calls for, because if you don't have a ship that can take the contract, obviously don't accept it. And with freighter changes now, you should be on top of how much your freighter can hold, with and without special mods attached to it. To really get started in hauling, you should probably have some standing cash on you, maybe 100 million or so, to start accepting collateral, because collateral can be pretty expensive. It could be anywhere from 50 million to 1 billion for the major freighter contracts. You can start off with an industrial, like, what's the new name for the Iteron? Like, for lack of a better term, an Iteron or a Mammoth or something small like that. Work your way up to something a little bigger, like an Orca or freighter, and proceed from there. And just network with people. Come into the channel, talk to people, say, hey, how can I improve my technique? How can I improve my fit? What can I do differently? There are plenty of people that are willing to help you out, because everybody needs stuff moved. No matter what anybody says, there are people that are unwilling to haul their own stuff, don't have the time to do it, and that's where we come in. We haul stuff for you so you don't have to. We take the risks so you don't have to, and we get the job done.
What is when one of the things? So I've done a little bit of hauling, and one of the things I noticed was some hauling requests that paid huge amounts of money and required huge amounts of money to cover the insurance, and they look suspect to me. Do people place fake contracts in hope of ganking a hauler?
Sometimes that happens. In fact, that's how I lost my freighter back in Valentine's Day, was because it was a setup contract. But I ran outrageous risks like that all the time, so I didn't really think of it much, and I was in a bit of a rush, so my fault there. But yeah, there are occasionally some people that devise trap contracts, contract that's in low sec, contract that's 20 jumps deep into null sec. But sometimes people are brazen enough to take their jump freighters out there and handle the contract that way. But yeah, they're just like anything in Eve. There are scam selling contracts. There are scam core recruitments. There are scam hauling contracts, absolutely. And there are contracts that will require you to pay massive amounts of collateral and go through insane risk. 30 jumps for 5 billion collateral, and the cargo turns out to be nothing more than a can full of implants. I mean, that's the risk you take. The idea is vigilance. Take a look at the contract, investigate it thoroughly, find out if it's worth it, run it or don't run it. I mean, it's just like anything else. You can choose to run it or not run it.
Mm-hmm. Do you ever set autopilot and walk away?
I did that only once. That was because I had been hauling all weekend. I was absolutely falling asleep. I said, "The hell with it. I'm just going to put on autopilot and I'm going to go to bed." I woke up in the station with the ship and the cargo intact. Job done. But also that was a long time ago, before the freighter changes and before it really got intense with the attacks on freighters along the trade routes. So I would take routes off the beaten path where nobody really traveled. It took me longer, but I got there safe. Safety to me, getting the job done intact was my number one goal. The hell with time.
Mm-hmm. So if you're fastidious about not flying autopilot and just taking safe actions and everything, even though the ships, like the big freighters, 1.3 billion, and then you're carrying a load that maybe you're having to put up a billion or 2 billion collateral on, and so your total investment there could be a couple billion. The loss of a ship, on a contract that's going to pay you 20 million or something like that, you have to do a lot of trips to pay for something like that. So how do you choose what kind of stuff you'll take as opposed to the value of your ship?
Me particularly, I did it by size of the contract and how much money I had in my wallet. If I could afford it, I grabbed it. But that was the risk I chose to take. I admit, when I was hauling hardcore, I was more reckless than, say, the next pilot.
Mm-hmm.
There are some people that will choose to take that risk. Other people have other sources of income as well, such as mining or incursions. Some people do hauling for fun. Other people do hauling for the money. There's one particular pilot that I know of named Caroline Grace. And she was a mod in the original Haulers channel along with us some years ago, and then branched off to run her own third-party service. And she's been very successful running contracts on her own. She makes a ton of money, enough to keep herself stable throughout the universe. So it all depends on the risk you're willing to take and the systems you're willing to employ. Some people use alts to web their freighters and help them align faster. Other people use scouts. Other people go with full-blown military escorts through hotspot systems. I've done that personally. So it all depends on the mechanics you employ and the risks you're willing to take.
Yeah. Okay. Well, coming back around to code and their enforcement of their anti-AFK beliefs, is there any final thoughts you have on how to deal with sectors where you may encounter code as opposed to normal operations?
Vigilance and reconnaissance, and don't pay the permits. Use a scout, jump into the hotspot system, check it out, see if anybody's around there, or wait until certain times when they're not present in the system as heavily as usual, and then slip on through. Or find a different route.
Sounds good. What one last thing here. If someone was interested in hauling and wanted to get involved with it, how would they contact your group?
That would be by joining the public channel known as HC Haulers Hub. Open bracket, HC, close bracket, Haulers Hub. That is the new channel for independent haulers, third-party contractors, and everybody interested in learning about how to get into the business.
Okay, cool. I will also, there is the spelling for that in the description, so you can easily find it. And in fact, you'll find me there occasionally. So I do contract a few things out, and I do fly some things sometimes.
And we look forward to having you.
Yeah. Okay, Commander A9, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And fly safe.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.